welcome to Too Cool for Middle School. Today is National Read Aloud Day, which, to be perfectly honest, is something that I just now heard of. I was watching a couple of my teacher YouTuber friends, and they had made videos about their favorite read aloud books in their classroom. And I teach middle school, so this is never really something that I had thought about, but this is what I love so much about my Instagram community and my YouTube community is that I learn about all these different things and all these different resources that I could include in my classroom. And I realized that I do have some read aloud books, and I was kind of thinking read aloud books are like shorter, maybe books with pictures. And I do have a few of those in my class that I've used with my students, so I thought I would show those to you today. In the other videos, everyone did 5, but I'm gonna do 6 because I couldn't narrow it down. So the first one is Nerdy Birdy Tweets, and this is definitely for younger students, but every week I do circle time with my middle schoolers, and at the beginning of the year we dedicate a lot of time to talking about social media and digital citizenship. We use the Be Internet Awesome curriculum from Google and John Green, and so this is just kind of a funny book to read aloud to them during that discussion. And the moral of this story is that Nerdy Birdy is always on Twitter, and then he kind of alienates one of his real friends in real life. And even in my own life, I've seen that happen. We can't get so caught up in the followers and the subscribers and the people that we talk to online and then ignore the people in our real life. So this has a really good message, and it's just a fun way to start that conversation. This next book I actually read to my class yesterday. This is called Separate is Never Equal, and this is about the Mendez case in Westminster, which happened in 1944, I believe. And this was actually the first case about integrated schools, and it happened in California. This was even pre-Brown versus Board of Education. My English classes are starting a civil rights unit. We are reading informational text about the civil rights movement, but I started it off with this just so that they could see what was going on in California, where we live. This book has a little bit of Spanish in it, so you might want to brush up on your pronunciation. And so many of these events occurred very near where we live, so it made it extra interesting for us. Another book that I'm going to be reading today is called Schomburg, the Man Who Built a Library, and this is the book that I'm going to be reading to all of my English classes today for World Read Aloud Day, and it overlaps with Black History Month. My master's degree is in Black history, Caribbean history, and so much of the research that I did actually came from this man's library. Arturo Schomburg was from Puerto Rico, and he had this amazing collection of Black history and was one of the first people to recognize that people need to know their people's history in order to understand their future and understand who they are. So not only is this an amazing history of Arturo Schomburg himself, but it goes through some of the sources and some of the books and documents that he collected and gives this amazing overview of Black history throughout the world, even in Russia and Europe and South America and the Caribbean and Africa and the United States. And this is just something that I'm keeping for my family and my son because this is what we talk about a lot in my household. So this is one of my favorite books now. Another great book to read during Black History Month is a newer publication. This is called Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History by Vashti Harrison. I follow her on Instagram. She's an amazing illustrator. And so she decided to do illustrations of some amazing Black female leaders throughout history, and then she researched them and wrote up little biographies about each of them. So this isn't a book that you would read like the whole entire thing in one day. Oh, I love Marian Anderson. But you could maybe read about one person per day or just have it as an option for students to flip through. Mahalia Jackson, we're considering like if we ever had a girl naming her Mahalia, because I love Mahalia Jackson. The art is just gorgeous and it's very well researched. She has resources for further reading at the back, and this is just so beautiful. I think every classroom needs to have this book. Last year during Women's History Month, I also started collecting books on influential women throughout history, and so this one is sort of similar to the Little Leaders. This is called Bad Girls Throughout History, and it also has amazing art and then a little write-up, a biography about the woman. This one's a little bit longer, and last year we were doing a biography project during Women's History Month, and so a lot of people chose to do their biography on a woman from this book. So I have little tabs from students last year that were using this book for research. This covers women from all over the world who weren't necessarily, bad girls, but they just didn't follow the status quo. They kind of forged their own path and made the world a better place just by being true to themselves. So this is definitely one of my favorite books in my classroom. The last book I have to show you is called I Dissent. So when we did the biographies, I wrote one as well, and I wrote mine on Ruth Bader Ginsburg because she's one of my heroes. And like I said, I'm not that into like picture books. I didn't realize how far they'd come since I was in elementary school. So I started doing research through like books that you could get at the library, like, you know, more dense research books, but I learned so much just from this book itself. Again, the art is really beautiful. I read this one to my students last year just to show them who I was doing my research on. And I think this is just such a great book about women who don't take no for an answer, they don't conform, they don't let people tell them that, you know, no man will want a smart woman. She was smart, she was married, she had children, and she is currently on the Supreme Court. She's just one of those women that had it all, even though it took so much work. So I really admire her, and I love this book. So I hope you have a great read aloud day, and I hope you check out some of these books if you've ever read any of them, or if you have suggestions for others that are kind of similar, let me know in the comments below. Have a great day, guys. Bye.